This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the public hearing meeting to order for fiscal year 2025 budget, tax rates, water and sewer expertise. Everybody's here from the council except for Mary Lee. She may be running late. We have one citizen. Do you have any comments, questions, or anything?
Not at the moment.
All right, want to roll through it? Does the council want to see it again?
Go ahead and roll. I don't know what I need to see. How about the citizen? Would you like to see it? Well, why not?
Yeah, I don't think Eric and Brian have seen it enough times. Let's just do it one more time. So, our general fund, our water fund, and our sewer fund, we're gonna get through all three of them. The general fund obviously is primarily funded through the property taxes, but our water fund and our sewer fund are primarily from the charges that we receive from the customers. We did not change our tax rate. It's been the same now for as long as I've been on council. So nothing's changed there. We're still charging 0.3591 on 100. So if you look at the general fund, where we are with our revenues, we have 1.4705 projected in property tax. We did show some income for license permits and planning. Of course, we have our share taxes revenues and our sanitation charge is where we charge for our trash and recycling. Of course, other revenues, that's a little bit misleading. It shows $8,612,000. Of course, you all know that there's money that we have put aside for the reservoir, both ARPA funds and other money. Other monies that we received from the commissioners and the state, and so have you. But that's, like I said, a little misleading because that's not our money. We didn't raise that revenue. So going down all the expenses, you have the mayor and council, you have the office administration. We won't have anything for elections in 2025. We have one in 2024. Professional services, planning, zoning, economic development, environmental, public safety, highways and streets, sanitation, and municipal owned buildings, parks, recreation, and non-departmental expenses. We did break out the sanitation. There is a $60,000 tipping fee in there. So the actual charge for sanitation is going to be $210,885. And that begins on July 1st with our new vendor, which we just approved recently, was J&J Trash Removal. We did a 3-year contract with them. And first year is $210,885. Year 2 is $219,294, and year 3 is going to be $228 and $7. But that is still, even on year 3, it's going to be less than what the other bids came in. As far as other expenses, we have administration, payroll processing, training, payroll taxes, employee pension, health insurance, workman's comp, property and liability insurance, advertising, postage, office supplies, office equipment maintenance, software subscriptions, employee appreciation, and telephone. Moving along through into public safety, our police salaries, police overtime, of course, payroll taxes, employee pension, health insurance, workman's comp, insurance for the police department, vehicles and equipment, police department equipment, police fees, dues, and web service, police department uniforms, supplies, cell phones, department training, building maintenance, department capital outlay. They did budget this year for a vehicle, police department vehicle maintenance, gas, national night out expenses, and there is a contingency fund for the police department there as well. Here's where you get a little bit of the breakout. with our monies that we had at the top. In revenues, you have the American Rescue Plan, which is $2,213,789. And also in special projects, with monies that we've collected, $6,270,000. And then the general fund right now is showing about $321,000, almost $322,000 that we'd like to fund for the reservoir if need be. The general fund still has investments. You can see there where we have $2,383,000 roughly in investments. And if you look at the balanced budget for the general fund, total expenses, total revenues, and of course it nets out to zero. Moving along into the water and sewer. Yeah, Brian, that's small. Did I make that?
Oh, that shows the next slide.
Okay, okay, I got you. So the water and sewer rates is where we collect services for raising revenues for these. There we go. And of course, for fiscal year 2025, the water and sewer rates, we are proposing a slight increase. The water rate right now for in-town residents is $22.50 per quarter. And the sewer charge right now is $60.50. We are proposing to increase those, $30 for water and $66 for the sewer. That is part of the 7-year plan that we passed year before last. So we're in year 2 of the fixed rates. Of course, the water fund is primarily funded by the usage charges. And here's a look at the water fund, the charges that we'll collect. The debt service, that's really just a pass through because we just collect that so that we can pay the loan on alternate 40. Keysville, we have a shared water system, so there is a charge that Keysville pays back to the town of Boonesboro. As far as the connection fees, the water tap fee that we charge for somebody new is $10,550 per EDU. Those are projected revenues, the $274,300. That's a moving target based on where we feel we might be. Interest income, Keysville contributions based on capital outlay, and the prior year reserves and or user fees, monies that we're going to apply for the reservoir. We'll see down later. Administrative salaries, operating salaries, administrative expenses, maintenance expenses, and then we moved into the debt service for the alternate 40 line, and the reservoir loan payment. Okay, so we add that, and that's something new. The amount of $192,729 is an anticipated loan payment. We don't know what we're going to be short for the reservoir right now, but we know we're probably going to have to borrow some money. That money that we put aside there is for a loan payment, not knowing how much it's going to be, but we knew we had to put something in there. Special projects funding and special projects funding with the water fund user fees. And there is no contingency in this plan at the moment. So if you look at total expenses and total revenues, again, we net out to zero. The only debt service that the water fund has currently is the alternate 40 line that we had to run out there for the contaminated wells. That money that we actually collect from the residents that use that part of the water line paid for this. Moving into the sewer fund. Again, sewer fund is primarily funded by the charges that we to bill to the customers. So you've got our revenues here. We're showing 1.237, 184. The Bay Restoration Fund is a wash. We need to collect that. We have to turn that money back over to the states. There's really not revenue. You'll see where this gets taken back out at the bottom. Here again, we have $356,500 in anticipated connection fees. Every time we sell a sewer tap, it's $15,500. The fees that we're showing there, any of the shortfall that we don't get for taps that may or may not be sold, that money will probably be realized in loan payments back to the general fund. But I'll show you that here in a few minutes still. As far as the sewer fund expenses, we have administrative salaries, we have operating salaries, we have administrative expenses and operation expenses. Of course, the wastewater treatment plant has a loan, and we've got the loan and the bond payments there. And then the general fund loan payment is where I put that money in. Right now, the sewer fund owes the general fund roughly $2.8 million. It was $1.8 million until this year. We did borrow an additional $1 million so that we could finish the dewater and sludge press. Thankfully, we have found that $1 million that we were granted, and we are in the process of filing that paperwork so that $1 million will come right back to the general fund. But that payment in there, that $350,000, is to pay down the $1.8 million that we have owed back to the general fund for quite many years now. Special project funding, contingency fund, and I did talk a little bit about the Bay Restoration. It's just a wash right there. It's $106,500 that goes right back out to the state. And if you look at the sewer fund, total expenses, 1.715,244. Of course, the revenues, it's complete net. And we will show you here that the wastewater treatment plant does have a loan of $4,650,000 that's still payable. I think we can't prepay that until 2026. I don't think we're going to have the funds to prepay it at any point soon, but if we did want to start making principal payments, we can start making those in 2026. I'll look up there and see. And that is pretty much a recap of the proposed FY25 budget.
Anybody have any questions about the budget? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second? I have a motion, a second, any other discussion, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, abstained, motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.